This Sunday is kind of like a bonus because it's the 5th Sunday in December. And we had the 4 Sundays of Advent, and we had marvelous things, and we had Christmas, but gosh, only twice this year have we gotten the opportunity to have 2 Sundays in a month. So this is like a bonus. It's like an extra gift this year. Now, next year we can look forward to 3 Sundays, actually, but this year is only 2. And so I'm looking at this as kind of a final gift, kind of a combination, Advent and Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and New Year, and my birthday gift. So thank you so much for being here with us. And I've got a question for you. Do you remember where you were 20 years ago, New Year's Eve? Think back. 1999, do you remember where you were, what you were doing? Well, it was long before I had discovered Unity, and I knew when I went to bed New Year's Eve, 1999, that the world was going to end. Really, the world was going to end because of, what was it? It was the Y2K virus. All right. The Y2K virus. No planes would fly. There'd be no electricity. No restaurants would open. Everything would fail. And so I went to bed saying, I wonder if that's going to really be the case. And I believed it. But I got up the next morning, and the restaurants were open, and I could get gas in my car, and there still was money in the bank. And it was just one of the things of this world. And what I've learned since I've been at Unity is that that's not where I need to focus my energy. Those things exist, but that's not really where the gifts are. Now, when I discovered Unity, we discovered a new way to look at Advent, and Reverend Mark's just been wonderful in this year. He's given us wonderful gifts that we can use to bring out the Christ light, the Christ essence. And that's what we here at Unity want to do for Christmas, is birth the Christ as us. The Christ is not a person. Christ is a series of beliefs and understandings and letting our love come out into the world. And I've taken many of the gifts that Reverend Mark gave us and put them on some slides, and I'm going to use them for my intentions for this year because they're really great. So I've changed them to I am statements, but let's just walk through them really quickly. I follow my North Star. I live my purpose. How much better could life get than that? It's a wonderful gift that we give ourselves to lead us forward into the new year, into this new decade. The next one is I believe in miracles. I am an extension of love. When I was at Unity Village, Mark mentioned about our exams. We were each given one of the 12 powers to do a class on. And so everybody did their classes, and I was really blessed. I got love. That was my 12th power. And so I got to give a class on love. And everybody gave classes that were really high-level classes, what their 12 powers were about. And so I decided to do an introductory level class on love. And it was great fun, and we made little gifts for each other that were love and what love was. And I have come to know love is not a feeling, but love is what we are. Our cells vibrate as love. The particle that all the scientists are looking for, the God particle, I already know what it is. It's love. It's absolutely love. So anyway, I believe in miracles every day. That's my intention. The next is, and Suzanne's and everybody sang the wonderful song, I let it be. I surrender. I just surrender to what's going on, what's happening. Not that I don't try and make myself the best person in the world, but I surrender to it. And I know that it is good. Because the next one is everything is for me. Everything is for me. I think the first time that I saw that, I read Albert Einstein's quote. He says, the most important question you can answer in your life is, do we live in a friendly universe? And I know that is yes. The universe supports me. God supports me. Everything that happens is for me. Now, the next one is something that I've had challenges with. But I know the truth of this statement. I persist in the darkness. My hope and faith are activated. There are dark times we all go through. Life is cycles. And I have to say, since I've been practicing these things, that there are less of them in my life than there used to be. It's a little bit more even. They're still there. But I know that with these principles, with these truths, with what I've learned here at Unity, I can get through. My hope and my faith get me through. The next one is something we say every Sunday, but I am peace. My life is a living prayer. When we brought all the prayer chaplains up here on stage, Reverend Mark said that our lives are to be living prayers. Everything that we do is a prayer. And that's how we come into the world. And this is one of the gifts that will help us bring the Christ light into our lives. One of my favorites, I am love. But the interesting way that Reverend Mark talked about this is the world that I see is the world that's inside of me. And that's absolutely the truth. There's no blame out there. If I see something that I don't like, it's because I'm seeing it in myself. And my challenge is to let it go and only see God. Oh, he's telling me maybe this is on now. Is this on now? Oh, my microphone's on now. Okay. They told me it wasn't before. All right. And the last one is that I am joy. And I live as joy. Mark called joy God's favorite name. And it absolutely is. As we bring joy into everything we do in life, that is what brings our Christ light forward. And I know if I take these 8 things and every morning when I get up, these are my I am statements. This is what I am and what I believe about myself. And that is, every year I think we bring a little bit more of the Christ light forward. Reverend Mark said that we have to believe that we are really farther along the path than we think we are. We've come farther. We've embraced more in our lives. We know the truth that we are the Christ presence in this place at this time, called only to live as that. Now, big question for me is, we've got these great gifts. So how do we use them? And I keep saying each one of these gifts is my favorite. And when I grew up, my brothers used to always laugh at me because I would always say everything was my favorite. Oh, that's my favorite color, and that's my favorite dress, and that's my favorite dress, and those are my favorite shoes, and that's my favorite food, and that's my favorite dessert. And they would laugh at me, but really, I had lots of favorites in the world. And it's kind of like, and I had to ask Suzanne who sang this song, but it's kind of like the Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young song, when I'm not with the one I love the one I'm with. That's kind of how I look at it, you know? If we see everything, if we see everything as the good that it is, if we see everything as the blessing that it is, then we know that it is my favorite in that moment. It is my absolute favorite. Now, this is what did I call it in my notes? This is an invitation, but it's really a shameless invitation for everyone to come on New Year's Eve. We're going to have a wonderful time. Make your first stop on New Year's Eve here at Unity of Naples. Reverend Mark, Reverend Eileen, and I are going to do a wonderful service where we're going to release, we're going to forgive, release, have a burning bowl, and Reverend Eileen is going to help us set intentions for the new year. So please come. 6 o'clock, you can go and visit whoever, wherever you'd like after that, but please come and join us for the wonderful service on New Year's Eve. Now, this Christ consciousness that we talk about, bringing the Christ light forward, Jesus lived over 2,000 years ago, and it's always been a challenge for me to get my head around what exactly is the Christ presence. I used to think growing up that Christ was Jesus' last name. Well, I know that that's not the case. The Christ is really a presence, a set of beliefs. And one of my favorite teachers, Paramahansa Yogananda, said that the Christ consciousness is the omniscient intelligence of God, omnipresent in every part and particle of creation. Said another way, the all-knowing intelligence of God, always present, always powerful, always there in every particle, every cell of my being, everything that's smaller than a cell, everything in my being is vibrating with God's energy. And that is the Christ presence that we're bringing forth. Now, so what did Jesus do differently than I'm doing? I have to say I'm not doing all those things. So what did Jesus know, or what did he do differently than what I'm doing? And I think it comes down to 2 things. Not that he didn't study tremendously and pray tremendously and have tremendous skills and tremendous love, But I think it kind of comes down to two ideas. The first idea is that Jesus knew his place in God. Growing up, I'm sure some of our parents may have said, "You stop talking now, little girl, because you don't know your place." And that's not the place I'm talking about. The place I'm talking about is that Jesus knew that he stood at the epicenter of all the God there is. There's no more God. Jesus stood at the center of it. But what I know is that I also stand at the center of every bit of God that exists. It is me. I'm the jewel that sits right there in the middle. But it's true of each of us. As we look at our lives, we are that jewel. We stand there in the middle of all the God there is. You know, when I first started taking classes at Unity Village, I was interviewed by one of my professors, and he wrote an article about me in Unity magazine, and I was really proud of it. I just thought it was just like the best. And when I went back and read it a while ago, I was really embarrassed because I was really embarrassed because the last question they asked, he says, "Well, what do you see for yourself in the future? What do you want in the future?" And I said, "Oh, I know the answer to this. I want more and more and more God, and I want to discover more and more and more good in my life." Well, that's not the truth. The truth that we know is that we already have all of the God there is. We already have all of the good there is. And our job is just to open to it, to bring it into our lives. And that's a huge part of what Christ consciousness is, stepping into that knowledge, that knowing that is who and what we are. So Jesus knew his place in God, and that's the place that we're called to know. Jesus actually moved and walked and had his being in God, but that's the same thing for each of us. As we go about our daily lives, we are God's presence on this earth plane. Every cell of our body is made of the same things, and they're made of love. And so our calling is to embrace more and more and more of God as us. One of my favorite writers that I studied at Unity Village, and we teach classes here about it, was a Unity minister who taught in Manhattan. And he had one of the biggest congregations. Over 3,000 people every Sunday would come and hear Reverend Eric Butterworth speak in Manhattan. He's written several books. He has made his transition several years ago. But Eric Butterworth called this presence, what we're each called to know, is that we are the eachness within the allness. So each of us is unique, but we are the same eachness within the allness of God. And so if we can hold that concept and keep that idea that each of us has the same value, each of us has the same presence, each of us has the same amount of God. None of us are different. Now, Jesus did one more thing differently than I do. I think he did it much better than I do. Not only did he know his place in God, but his focus was 100% on God. And just as with the Y2K virus, my focus was on things of this earth. My focus was on what's going wrong. My focus was on what bad things are going to happen next. The things of this world. And what Jesus' focus was, 100% on God. When he saw someone who was expressing an illness, saw the man laying by the pool at Bethsaida, I don't believe he didn't see the illness. What he saw the perfection. He saw the God. He saw the good. And he called that person to rise and walk because that's what he saw. And that's what we're asked to do here. Reverend Mark taught it in our prayer chaplain class. We're here to hold that energy for everyone who comes in this space, for everyone who hears our messages, for everyone that we touch, everyone that we know. We are called to hold that energy and hold that focus on God, on the good, on the passion, on our purpose. And that's really what I see as the difference that Jesus brought into this world. My goal is to learn all of that and continue to grow and to continue to be that presence in the world in everything I do, in my work, in my going out for dinner, in my talking, in my whatever I do. Because we do not become a different person by learning this. We become ourselves. We become our eachness within the allness, but yet we know so much more. And that's the so much more that we're called to bring forth in the world. And so as we go into New Year's, and we set our intentions for the new year, I'd like you to just take one more little gift along with you and make a commitment to sitting in the silence in the morning. 5 minutes, really. Start with 5 minutes. And focus on the good. Focus on your place in God. And every day, watch that grow a little bit. Watch your presence grow. Watch your soul grow. Watch yourself become more and more of God, more and more of the good, and more of what is going to change our world. Let's take this into prayer. I know God as the allness. I know God as the light. I know God as love and peace and passion and purpose and all goodness. And as I know myself as an eachness within that allness of God, I know that I am that. I know that I am love in the world. I know that I am peace in the world. I know that I am passion in the world. As an eachness within the allness of God, I claim all of those gifts and I bring the good forward. And I know this is the truth for everyone here today, for everyone who hears this message on the internet, for everyone who we touch and we share these messages with, for everyone that we don't know and hasn't heard it yet. I say this prayer and I know that this is the truth. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for everyone here today. And I am so grateful for this prayer. And I release it into the action of God as law. And God as law only and always says, yes, my beloveds, this is the truth. This is who we are. This is what we are. Yes, this is the truth. And so it shall always be and has always been. And so it is. Amen.
I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Congregation.
Bless you all. Thank you for being here today.